and roll. Amazing. All right. Hello, everyone. I am so happy and excited to and thrilled to be here with you in a messy way today. I figured that it would only be fitting if I started this off by telling you a little bit about my story because my story is extremely messy. The entirety of my talk, if you will, today should be under 10-12 minutes. And I plan to keep it very engaging with questions that I'm going to be asking you guys. So it should be a lot of fun. I think the first thing that you should know about me is I am a mindset and creative business coach. And what that means is my husband and I, we actually work together. We help people create their big vision in the world and help them do that in a creative way. I think it's so easy as an entrepreneur or as a business owner to play it small and only think in the confines of what you've seen done before. Because if you think outside of the box, there's no like roadmap for that, right? And you're like, well, how do I even do this? But that's where the spirit of creativity whisks you away and magic happens in your business. And we help people make the mindset foundation to have the confidence to do that, to reach outside of the box, to think creatively. And we are very hands on in our approach with both mindset and business. So, and if you guys have any questions about that, I would be more than happy to answer those for you. And Laura can also probably answer some of those questions for you because she's been working with my husband Jason. Um, Okay, a little bit about my story. So, my background is actually in fitness. Some of you guys may have heard of my fitness company. I started it in 2020 when I was laid off from my job coaching classes at Orange Theory. My fitness company was named 6 Foot Fit because it was started in March of 2020, where everything was 6 feet apart. So, it was fitness 6 feet apart. And then we rebranded as the Anti Gym. You might have seen us driving around Cary Apex area in an 18-foot long, very brightly colored branded trailer towed on the back of a 4Runner. That was me, if you've ever seen me on the road. Um, Fitness was like a big part of my life, and I got burnt out from it when I started really investing myself into teaching mindset work. I've been on my personal development journey since 2017, 2018, and I started hosting mindset workshops and retreats in 2022. Well, last year rolls around and my passion from fitness and mindset went like this. And I'm like, okay, something needs to change here. So, moving through a lot of uncertainty, a lot of like not wanting to disappoint people, we eventually decided to sell our fitness company last October and we successfully exited that to go full time into mindset and business coaching. But the most fun part of the story is that entire time I never had any clue what I was doing. It all was very much like messy, figure it out as we go. And the way that I was able to do that is what I want to talk to you guys about today. So I have some notes here on my screen. So if you see me looking to the side, that's why. But one thing that really stood out to me so far is when Shirley was talking about her concierge business and organization, that really tied into the first part of what I want to speak with you guys about. Because when we have clutter in our mind, we cannot do shit and like whatever we really want to do, right? And I truly think that people cannot take action because they have a messy mind. And when you have a messy mind, there's like so much mental drama and mental chatter that stops creativity. It stops you like being able to believe in yourself. And when we're thinking about all the things we got to do, the to-do list, trying to predict the outcome, who else is like has their PhD in trying to predict the outcome? And essentially you're playing pretend that you can do all these things, right? And when we give ourselves the time to silence those, which is what I'm going to be telling you guys about next. But when we give ourselves the time and opportunity to silence those thoughts or at least dismiss them, that's when we can really start to take action. Because when I took the leap to start my fitness company, I had like, couple $1,000s to my name. I had no job, rent was due next week, and I had never done like a group fitness class by myself before. And I was like, you know what? What if I just brought a speaker out to a park and told everyone that was taking my classes at Orange Theory that I was now hosting workout classes at Lake Crabtree Park? And that's how I did it. I did it messy. I was able to grow a multi six-figure company from that kind of mindset of let me put it out there and see what happens because this is what feels good to me right now. And I really encourage you guys to think about that when you're going on your journey of taking messy action and you're trying to figure out what the next step is. Always asking yourself, what feels best to me right now? Not what am I scared of, not what is the risk, but what feels best to me right now. And One thing that my husband and I always say to each other is overthinking always leads to underdoing. That's a good one to write down. Okay. So I would define messy action as taking the next step in front of you without having all the answers figured out. Because let's be honest, you guys, we never do. Like, we like to think that we can, and we're like, okay, if I think about it enough, then I'll be able to figure it out. Right. But when has that ever actually happened? Or when has anything ever gone exactly to plan the way that we like detailed it out, like thought about all these scenarios? But really what happens, we just end up exhausting ourselves. Right. And it's really just about what is a next step that I can take. So I want you guys to let me know in the chat right now. Let me know if you can relate to this feeling of having super glue on your feet being stuck at a start line. You're like, okay, I see what I want to do. Like I know what I want this to look like, but it's like I can't move forward. Like there's something just on the bottom of my feet that's drawing me down and it feels exhausting and it can feel really heavy, especially for us as business owners. We feel like the stakes are always so high, but honestly, the stakes are usually really low because we're just practicing getting our reps in here, right? Ingrid says that she can relate to that. Yeah. Roxanne says messy action, taking the next step without having all the answers. Yes, exactly. Um, One thing that I always try to remind myself of you guys is actually, I think this is what I was just about to say. What Michelle said here, the anxiety is high to do it right or perfect. Yes, I truly believe that there is no right or wrong for that as far as decisions that we can make. It's just make a decision and then guess what? Your ego is going to make it be the right one because our ego doesn't want us to be wrong. So if we're like, okay, this is a decision that I'm going to make. I'm going to sell my fitness company. I do not have a full-time income secured. I do not like know exactly what that's going to look like, but I know that my next step is that I'm going to sell my company or close it, whatever it was going to be at that time, and then I'm going to figure it out because that's what feels right. And Michelle, when you say like the anxiety of like right or wrong, I always find that the pre-decision anxiety is so much worse than the anxiety after you actually make a decision that you commit to. You know, when I was going back and forth with that decision, like, do I just hire a GM? Do I do this thing, the other thing? That's when I felt the most anxious. But once I made the decision of this is what I'm going to do, and then after that, I'm just going to figure it out, the anxiety, like, I don't really have intrusive thoughts or anxious thoughts as an anxious person anymore ever since that day because it's the feeling of choosing what you know is right for you. You know what I mean? Um, Shan says, yes, the worst part is having the answers, just not the time. I hear you. And I hear that from, I'm not sure if you're a mom, Cheyenne, but I hear that from moms all the time. Um, Allie says, I'm a quick start. I take action, but I do not stick with it. That's towards the end of the chat today. Um, Okay, and then another tool that I like to use if we're getting stuck at the start line here is remembering that it's really not that serious. Whether you make this decision or not, the world's going to keep spinning. Everything's going to be fine, and you're always going to figure it out because you have, and that's what's brought you to this place today, right? Um, Whether it is a deal falling through, like you said, Shirley, or you want to feel inspired by life again, or you don't really know what to do next, or someone that you care about leaves you on red, or a client doesn't respond to you, or a contract falls through, whatever it may be, that's when you get to decide what is in your control versus what is out of your control. So next question in the chat that I want to ask you guys is, right now in each of your individual lives, what outcome are you attempting to control? Let's call it out front and center because we all have that, right? Michelle says, making everyone happy in this group. I can relate to that for sure. Making people do what I want. Yeah, it is a losing game, right? Because then we don't feel good while we're doing that. So that just it's like, okay, well, if this person didn't do what I wanted them to do, I'm not going to feel good. But by me trying that, I already don't feel good. So why even try? Let's just cut out the middleman, right? Um, I know for me, my husband and I are in the process of building out a Sprinter van. We're going to be traveling from our home here in Raleigh up to Alaska and down to Argentina over the course of a couple of years. We're going to start that journey next year. And there's been so many hiccups with that process. It's really been an exercise of letting go of control. Um, Roxanne says, "Client booking, but I know it takes time to build trust." Yeah, Roxanne, I can relate to you in that too because it's like those first couple times that you're meeting with that person, like, you just know that the trust, like, isn't quite there yet or it's not quite built, and then it, like, it's a little bit of sidestepping, so I totally know what you mean by that. How my family responds to me. Yeah, real, real. I struggle with that a lot. Um and it for me, surely it was really helpful to recognize that, I'm in control of the growth that I've done, and I'm not
Right,
responsible for the growth that my parents have to do.
right. That's it, and,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just do they am I giving mixed messages?
Fair,
Do you know what I mean?
fair.
That's what I
Yeah,
sort of
we
take
can
it as
talk more about that at the end for sure.
yeah,
I'm happy to.
mhm.
Relaunching in a new area. Yeah, my kid's schooling. Um, Roxanne too with that. There's okay, this leads perfectly into the next question. So, with what you just put into the chat, what is in your control? I wanna, mention that Annie said here that she wants to feel back inspired by life again. Like, absolutely, we all wanna feel that way, and it's very common for us to put ourselves in a position where we think that a lot of these things are out of our control, and that's what makes us not feel lit up by life. Annie, not saying that's you, I'm just, saying this is what it's been for me. Um, so what is it that you have control over when it comes to feeling re-inspired in life? Like, what can you add into your day? Um, surely for these deals that come through, like, what can you do to follow up with this person just to keep them at top of mind for the next time that it comes around, right? Because people work in cycles. I can only control myself, my actions, and my reactions. Yes, showing up no matter what is in my control. Uh-huh, trying to make people understand my situation and be more supportive in a way that I need them to be, not the way that uh-huh,
Mm.
yep, yep, like, accepting that for sure. Launching a health program in the next couple months. Manisha, hell yeah, girl, let's do it. Hell yes. How I manage my time. I have some tips for you guys on that. Being intentional, yes, in my control, taking steps forward every single day. I love it. Do one thing at a time and then move on once it's completed. Yes, my ADHD brain does not like to comprehend that, but it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Um, okay, let's talk about our relationship with effort. I can go off on a whole thing with this. I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it short and I'm going to say convenience has really murdered our relationship with effort. I feel like so many of us now, we have this Amazon Prime type of lifestyle and we want instant gratification, expectations being met this quickly. We want people to respond right away. If someone reads our text and doesn't respond, we're like, "Oh my god, they must not want to talk to me." Like all these things has been we've been conditioned because of the society that we live in today. No fault of our own. It's just an unawareness or unintentionality that we have that has allowed that to be something that we adopt as our own human, right? So when I talk about the relationship with effort with my clients, or to my clients, I guess I should say, I always want to say that things are going to be challenging. They're going to be hard. But if you are spending your time doing the thing that you enjoy, what does it matter if it's hard? Because would you actually be doing anything else? And maybe the answer for you right now is yes, actually, I'm not doing something that I enjoy and I want to be doing something else. Then we can create some time for that, right? But if you're like, I know for me, some things in my business are hard, coming up with frameworks and programs like that is a challenging process because I really care about the results that I can help my clients get. And that takes a lot of intentionality. But if I find myself getting frustrated or, going to scroll on my phone as we all do, right, as that distraction, it's like, "Brenna, what actually would you rather be spending your time doing right now?" Nothing. Like, this is the thing, and that's what made me realize, "Oh, we all just have a shitty relationship with putting effort into something because we want things to be easy," you know? Um, so instead of having this mindset of instant gratification, what I encourage you to do is number one, find something. If it's not what you're doing right now, find the thing that allows you to completely fall in love with the process because then that's how you're going to start living more intentionally. You're going to fall in love with your life again. You're going to feel inspired by life again. You're going to feel like it's a lot easier to take that super glue off the bottom of your shoes at the start line and move forward because you are actually doing things that you care about and that you enjoy, right? Um, So, okay, I wanted to ask this question here. Those of you that are feeling stuck in your life or in your business right now, which I know is some of us here, are you stuck because you're trying to do something that you like? Or are you stuck that you're trying to do something that you love? And what I want you to think about when you answer this question is the difference between, ugh, oh my God, I put in hours on this thing day in and day out and nothing ever really moves forward with it. And I don't even really like it. I want to change it. People are like coming at me about it. And like you're just trying to stay in your lane and do it. That's scenario one. Scenario two. This is what I told myself I wanted to do, but I keep getting curveballs. Things unexpected keep happening. It's harder than I thought it would be. Which one of those categories do you guys find yourself in? Roxanne, I love that you liked convenience has murdered our relationship with effort. I love that landed with you.
I'm quoting you to you.
I appreciate that. I've never had someone do that before. And I'm like, this is making me feel very official in my very messy action attempt. So thank you for seeing me. Um, I'll
By
give you guys an
chance, can you hear
example.
me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. This is
Um,
Ingrid. I just wanted to make sure I could be heard.
yes, yes. If you guys can answer the question in the chat, that would be super helpful, or we can discuss it after. I just want to make sure I keep my talk short. So something that comes to mind for me, I know examples are helpful. There was a time where I felt like I was really forcing it with my fitness company because I wasn't in love with it anymore. I had everything that I wanted, but I wasn't happy. And I had this feeling of, Brenna, you should be grateful right now. Like people are telling you, good job. You're doing all these things. You're reaching all these milestones. But I was like, I don't feel any of it. And it was so hard, not challenging, but hard to get myself to do something for that. That challenge and that feeling is much different from being in alignment with what you're doing and what you're creating, where you feel the challenge in something, but it's kind of interesting. It's invigorating. You're like, I kind of want to date this challenge. Like this is exciting. There's new things around every corner. But then we have that instant gratification mindset that comes back in where it's like, well, this didn't happen yet, or this didn't happen yet, blah, 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 blah. And we instantly start jumping to these conclusions. You know what I mean? So that would be my example of this. Michelle says, rolling out an official membership has been harder than I thought. Yeah, Michelle, I'd love to hear from you at the end. Like, what about that has been harder than you thought? Because a lot of times, I think our expectations are a little bit off. We think that something should be easy, but really, it's challenging and we get to enjoy that challenge the best that we can. But something that I have found that's been really helpful for me, my husband, and our clients is if we set the expectation that something's going to be hard right out of the gate, like starting this, I'm working on a kind of like a membership. It's like a personal development, like goal setting group thing for the new year. And I set the expectation from the beginning that this is going to be challenging and I'm going to need a teammate to do this with me. And once I set that expectation, whenever I feel the challenge, I'm like, oh, yes, my expectations are being met. So I'm not knocked off by this. You know what I mean? So that's a little nugget for you guys. Like if you set the expectation that it will be challenging and then that challenge happens, you're like, this matched my expectations. This is much different from, I know there's the phrase that I used when I was like 14. It was like, no expectations, no disappointments. This is not the same thing. This is being mindful and aligned with our expectations. Okay. That was a tough question for you guys, huh? There's like no answers in the chat. That's okay. It is a challenging one, but it is a good thing for you guys to think about. Um, I love what I do, but I'm constantly researching and not taking action. Ooh, yeah. So, surely one thing that I would think about if I were you is like, what is it that you are what is it about taking action that you don't look forward to? Like, what is that satisfaction that you're getting from not taking action? Because we all have a form of procrastination, but usually it's because the thing that we are doing is giving us some kind of fulfillment, even if it's like a good fulfillment or like a shadowy fulfillment, right? Um, I always say discipline your disappointment. Love that. Allie says, I feel the same about my job and what you said about not loving it anymore. Yeah, it's hard. Like, and also for those, if there's anyone here who's in the position, sorry if you guys can hear that, there's like landscaping happening right outside and they're like dumping boulders out of this dump truck. So if you can hear that, I'm sorry. Not loving it anymore. Oh yeah. If any of you guys are in the position where you're currently working a job and you want to be doing something different, whether it's a different job or if it's an entrepreneurship venture, and you're like, I can't quit my job yet, but I want to know like what that thing is, you can create a gray area where you don't leave the job yet, but you're also working behind the scenes with your creative vision. And that's like where my husband and I love to work with people, is like that intersection. So I'm happy to share any tips I have for you if you're in that position. What is the payoff for not taking action? Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. The last thing that I want to bring forward today is productivity when it comes to taking messy action. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely that person that will write things on my to-do list that I've already done just to be like, nailed it. I am so productive today. I am starting the day with a bang because I already am checking things off of my to-do list. But have you guys also noticed that feeling? And maybe this is just me, but even if you check everything off of your to-do list, you can feel unfulfilled and unaccomplished at the end of the day. Like, how weird. It's like I'll look at all the check marks and I'll be like, I still feel like I didn't do anything today. And this is why. If you spend the entire day doing nothing in order to get closer to figuring out what truly fuels you, that is the most productive thing that you can do. It doesn't matter if you made the dentist appointment. It doesn't matter if you went to the DMV. It doesn't matter if you, I don't know, fill in the blank, honestly. But if you're not giving yourself the time to messily dig into what it would really look like for you to be doing what you want to be doing with the time that you have, then I don't think you're, I think that that is the best way to be productive. If you're giving yourself that opportunity to really sit with yourself and say, you know what, I could check these things off that to-do list, but what do I really give a lot of shits about right now? And I can say I give a lot of shits about something, but then does your action match that? And for me, for a long time, it didn't, because I was intimidated by it. I was like, well, this thing is so important, and I want to take the time to discover it. And I don't have the time to do it now. And then we tell ourselves we're going to wait until we have a whole day to do it. And then what happens on that day? All of a sudden, you've made the most elaborate breakfast for your family, and you're doing all your Amazon returns. It'd be like that. I know it because I am it. So I highly recommend like changing your mindset when it comes to productivity. It's not just about checking off the boxes, it's about discovery. Discovery and diving deep is so productive. And in order to do that, you have to do it messy, because there is no yellow brick road that just unfolds before you on how to bring your vision into your life, on how to take action, on all of these things. The how is figured out in the journey. And that's why it's called a leap. You know, it's a leap because you don't see the steps below you. You know, when you start working on discovering what that thing is that you really want to spend your time doing, everything about it feels messy, it feels uncertain, it feels risky, it feels like you're just driving underwater, is the best analogy that I've ever been given for that. And the trust that you're able to build with yourself by being messy will help you make those big decisions. And also the clarity that you get from going at things in a messy way versus just waiting to have all your ducks in a row. I'm sorry, type A people, it just doesn't work that way. You cannot have all your ducks in a row when you are trying to figure out what that big thing is. Thankfully, I'm like mostly type B, but like I have type A tendencies mindset wise when it comes to that. But yeah, you guys, it's really just about letting yourself swing the bat, as I say. You know, the only way that you're going to figure this out and the only way that you're going to get better at what you want to do is by continuously getting those messy reps in. I want you to think about being in the batting cage, like you're practicing for baseball, right? No one's watching you take those swings, but you know that by the 100th one, you're going to be so much better than the first one. And that is the only way. Only way would be a wild statement for me today. That is the main mindset that I've adopted in building my coaching business and helping my clients build their businesses and start them. Is you got to swing the bat. You got to be willing to make mistakes. You got to be willing to fall on your butt and see it all as a gift. Because if you're not doing things messy, then I'll bet that you're not doing them. Okay. Last thing. I am big on taking action, accountability, doing the thing that we know we need to do in order to actually move the needle forward. And it doesn't have to be right now in this moment because I know there needs to be some like processing. But I want everyone here in this room. I want you guys to know everyone else's action step that they want to be held accountable to. The messy action, the taking the time to figure out something that they've been procrastinating. The I promise I'm not going to research for 2 days until I do 2 hours of launching my thing. You know, what is the action that you guys have been putting off that it's like, all right, let's be real, like it's time. It's time we actually do this thing. And today gets to be the day that you make that claim to commit to the action because you have 9 other people here that care to see you succeed. 9 other people here that are rooting for you, that want to do it messy with you. And I want you to put that action in the chat or we can talk about it. I think talking about it actually in video would be fun. But we're going to do that and then the gift that I have for you guys today is I've been working on a productivity guide for creative entrepreneurs. And this has 4 different, very unique productivity methods that I've kind of created over the last 4 years of my business. And one of them includes cycle syncing, which, if you aren't into that as a fellow female with a menstrual cycle, I was skeptical. It has changed my productivity game in being able to take messy action. Okay. So all of you guys will get that today. But Shirley says, tell us about your process with your clients. Yes, absolutely. The short and skinny of that is we work with people anywhere from 6 to 12 months at any point in time in their entrepreneurship journey to help expand their creative vision / start it. So whether you know what it is or you don't, the first process of that is always discovery. We are not going to provide you with any modules, any pre-recordings, any like one size fits all stuff like that. It is all completely custom. And we want to really know who you are because we're so used to thinking that we know who we are and then reflecting back that same thing. It's like we're in an echo chamber of our own thoughts, right? So we really help people zoom out from that, show back to them like, hey, Shirley, this is what you're kind of telling us between the lines. Have you ever thought about that before? And then sometimes people are like, yes, sometimes they're like, no. And we really work to help them expand on what that vision could be in a unique way. So that way they're automatically competitive with whatever they're bringing to the marketplace, be it a service or a product. We are not interested in just helping people make money. That's boring and it's easy. We're interested in working with people who are heart-centered and want to be making a big impact in their community in this world and are fun to work with. So I'm happy to share more about our process. I don't want to take up too much time doing that, but I will drop a link for a discovery call with me / me and my husband in the chat if you guys are interested in learning more. We don't do any pressure on our calls. Like I said, we truly just want to work with people that are cool. So it's very much a let's feel each other out kind of thing. But we provide the organization for people to creatively express their vision. So you don't have to be super organized. We give you the framework for that. Laura says, recommend 10 out of 10. Yes, Laura. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Okay. I need to drink some water. Can I be real with you?